laid out a fleece for God, and I felt him tell me that he was going to heal Matthew. So in response to that, I just went all out in my faith. I went out on that faith limb. I mean, I put everything I had of my faith into this, that God was going to heal Matthew. And then Matthew died. And my hope for healing was crushed. Obviously, God chose not to heal Matthew here in the way that I had so hoped he would do. And I was left completely devastated. I could not figure out what God was doing. I couldn't figure out why God had answered that fleece in a way that to me was so clear that he was going to heal Matthew. And he didn't. And this hope box sat on my table next to where I have my devotions every morning, and the word hope just mocked me. I couldn't even look at it. And after about a month after Matthew died, I opened the box one day and I took those verses out and I just put them away in a drawer. And it wasn't because the word of God wasn't true. It is. But those were not promises that ended up being fulfilled around Matthew here. So then my hope box was empty. And you can't live without hope. You just can't live without hope. And I knew that somehow, some way, I was going to have to rebuild hope. And so I began to ask God to show me verses that could give me hope for now. 1 Corinthians 15:43 says, these bodies are buried in brokenness, but they will be raised in glory. They're buried in weakness, but they will be raised in strength. And for me, it was like, yes, that is exactly so. Matthew died by his own hand, and his body was destroyed in some ways. So yes, his body was buried in brokenness, but it will be raised in glory. It was certainly buried in weakness, but it will be raised in strength. And so when I go to the cemetery, it's one of those things, I never knew I was a cemetery person, but I'm a cemetery person. The cemetery is a place of comfort for me. It's a place of, yes, it's a place of great pain and sorrow, but it helps me accept the reality that Matthew is gone. He's not here. And it allows me to express my grief without any shame or any worry about what somebody might think. That's what cemeteries are for. They're places where we accept the reality of death and the rebirth of hope. So when I stand at Matthew's grave and I say every single time, Matthew, you were buried in brokenness, but you will be raised in glory. Yes, my son, you were buried in weakness, but you will be raised in strength. And so while it's a place of sadness and sorrow, it also becomes a place of hope.